Welcome to Wiser Retirement Podcast, where we believe the best financial advice should always be conflict-free. I'm your host, Casey Smith, guiding you to financial freedom today. My two co-hosts, Bradley and Kate Swarthout. Not really, I guess we'll get into a little bit about finances today, but guys, this is a podcast you probably want to watch, actually, because Bradley and Kate are on a boat in the Caribbean. What part of the Caribbean are you guys in?
In Grenada.
Grenada.
Yes.
Well, thanks for doing this.
Yeah, not a problem.
Absolutely.
Well, this is a little bit of AT&T on this side, a little bit of Elon Musk Starlink on your side.
Exactly.
Yeah, without a doubt.
And we are video chatting. Again, you can see this on A Wiser Retirement. But we are video chatting with friends, but clients of the firm as well.
Yes.
So somebody thought this was a great idea to talk about retired life on a boat in the Caribbean.
Semi-retired.
Yeah.
So true. You guys are young. So you're doing all this before the whole thing of I want to retire and sail my boat through the Caribbean. Most people think they're going to do this in their 60s and probably find out that the manual labor is a little harder than they would think, right?
Indeed.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
So I know this is very fitting. So our Hadley, but also Rachel, our podcast producer, has designed all new graphics for us, and we wanted to launch all this stuff in some new camera angles in our 250th episode. This is episode 249.
Barely.
So both episodes are probably the ones you want to be watching on YouTube.
Yeah.
This one because you guys have a pretty boat background there.
Thank you.
And Bradley in his Hawaiian shirt.
Living the dream.
And then the new graphics for the next episode. So let's get started. Let's first of all, what inspired you to live? Now you think Catamaran. Now I'm thinking that little catamaran at the beach that's $50 an hour, or I don't know what it is now. With inflation, it's probably $300 an hour.
Yeah.
But you know, a couple $100 an hour, and you sail it out, but you can't go too far, right? Don't go past the buoy. And then
cats. Yeah.
Is that what that is? Or okay, so you're not living on that, are you?
No, not at all.
No. So describe this boat to me, and once you tell us what led you to want to do this full time.
Okay. So our boat is a Lagoon 420. So the 420 indicates that it's 42 feet long, and it's actually roughly 25 feet across. So that kind of gives you some dimensions. It's a 3 cabin, which means it's 3 bedrooms. We have an owner's side and 3 full bathrooms. And it's spacious. It's a house. We have, a full kitchen. We're sitting at our living room table. It's not small. And we also have aboard our 6-year-old son and a dog. So it's our family. This is where we live. So
you brought your house help and you brought your teacher.
Yeah, that's us.
And you brought your event planner. His name's Bradley.
Yeah,
is that
this guy.
Plane operations manager, all of the above.
All of the above. Yeah.
So how did this dream get started?
I think sometimes YouTube knows me better than I know me, and their algorithms. And a long time ago, 2019 probably, a family popped up in my feed, and it just really struck a chord with me. At that time, I was working exclusively from home, which was a great blessing that I got to be with my family. But there was something a little monotonous about upstairs to downstairs every day for work. And I felt like there was more to life than that. And then that YouTube family really kind of opened the door to what it could be for us. And it was a gentleman who owned his own business, booked a sailboat vacation, had a blast, came back, sold everything within like 90 days.
Oh, wow.
And was like, this is what we're doing. And it was a family of 6, so certainly a larger family than us, but it got me to dream outside of the traditional white picket fence, if you will.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So how did you break that to friends and family? because this is not like Bradley the Sailor. Someday we all know he's going to be on the ocean.
Oh no, it wasn't like that at all. It was, I mean, we've always had like the desire to travel. We've always been a traveling family. Like when our son was 6 months old, we took him to Peru. We've always wanted to like get out there and do things. So we have a saying now that we're living on the boat, like it's not real that people are coming to visit us until they buy a plane ticket, because that makes it real.
Yeah.
So it was kind of the same thing. Like we talked about it for a long time, like, oh, we'd love to live on a boat. And then when we really bought the boat, that's when the hard conversations happened, because it was real. You know, we had some family and friends that were really supportive and encouraging, and others that thought that we're crazy and still think that we're crazy, and that's okay. We are a little crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, it certainly progressed over time, right? I mean, this wasn't something that, again, happened overnight for us. 2019 we moved on the boat in October of last year, so call it 4-ish years to get to, quote, unquote, live the dream, and along the way, there was a lot of baby steps we had to take in order to even see if it was a dream we wanted to live, right? You know, you think you do, but then you have to get your toes in the water and then take the next step. And the whole process was such a steep learning curve, even to today, right? Like, because we didn't grow up sailing. Like, this is
zero experience.
Yeah. Well, you guys have had, I don't know if you chartered, but you've done small craft stuff with licensed captains and all that. So there was some training involved in all this.
Yeah.
You didn't just go hope for the best.
No.
No, not like the YouTube channels show you, right? Like
right.
I mean, we started just Airbnb in a marina. Like, can we spatially live in the boat together? Can we coexist? And then that progressed to chartering boats with captains, and like, how do we like it when the boat's moving at sea? And then do we have the confidence to go to sailing school? And that was when, like, I think the turning point for us was like, hey, this is something we're going to take very, very serious. It's not just vacations anymore.
Right.
We're investing time, we're investing money in this path forward. And sailing school was that big kind of like revelation, at least for me.
Yeah, it was indeed.
I want to do sailing school too, but for a different reason. I want to take, I think this summer, I don't know if I can do it this summer, maybe, but in the next 2 summers, I have this window where the kids are all old enough to do this. We'll have to lie about Owen's age. He's 12, but it looks like he's 20. He's kids me. But I would like to do sailing school to teach all 3 of them how to sail. I grew up sailing. My parents had a sailboat, Lake Lanier.
Yeah.
But I say that loosely. We grew up. They got rid of the boat when I was real young, but I remember enough of it. But I think that'd be a great way for my 3 kids to force them to get along, to work together as a crew.
Oh yeah.
So I'll pose that question to you. Do you feel like it's helping you get along as a crew? Would that work in a sibling case, or is it just going to make us that much more angry at each other?
Whatever she says.
And we need to let Kate answer that question, and Bradley, you can remain silent.
Honestly, it has really helped Brad and I's marriage, our relationship, because you are forced to communicate every single day. You're forced. Right. I mean, like, you depend on each other. I mean, where we're going, what we're doing. I mean, we cook the majority of our meals, obviously, on the boat. So it's like what we're eating, it's everything is nuanced, and you have to trust the other person completely, literally with your life sometimes. So yeah, I mean, it kind of forced us to be together more than we ever were, and also just like to be open and honest about everything, and it's really helped our relationship. But sometimes we do want to kill each other.
I think it's made us better communicators, right? Like, I mean, because the extremes in the life we live now are such higher and lower than the life that we were traditionally used to. You know, like in your home, you don't think about weather all that much. Now, granted, obviously there was a lot that made that different recently for many folks, but like generally day to day, you don't think about the weather. And for us, we look at weather multiple times a day, and it's something we talk about. Are we comfortable here? What is it that we need to do to ensure that we are taking the appropriate steps for whatever we've got planned for that day, for that week? Communication is so vital. It's been a challenge at times, because like she mentioned, we're together all the time.
Yeah.
It's not a huge house. We have a comfortable boat, but we're also in each other's proximity all the time.
Yeah.
Right. I remember interviewing, I guess it was last summer or over a summer now, the retirement travelers. We have that on our podcast list. Great interview. And I asked them a similar question, and she had a funny reaction. She said, that the doors on the Airstream were well made. That's cool. So what, kind of twisting us back to, I guess, finance a little bit, because this is a Wiser Retirement podcast, right?
Yeah.
What financial steps were you guys making to achieve this goal? Do you think there were sacrifices that were made?
Oh, yeah.
Just kind of tell me that financial journey a little bit.
We'd always been pretty strict savers, always tried to put away more into retirement each year whenever we had a raise at work or something along those lines. So we were kind of forward thinking, but then when it came time to how does that translate to the life we think we now want to live on a boat, we didn't even know where to start with what that budget would look like.
Yeah.
Right. So it's you had to do a lot of research on what does it cost to live on a sail? Take the cost of the boat out of the equation, right? Because you can buy all different price points of boats. We haven't won the lottery, so how do you budget on a boat? Is it any different than budgeting on land? And then so there was a lot of spreadsheets that we put together of our current land life expenses, which of those would translate over to boat life, which don't, and then new categories. So there was a lot of puzzle pieces that we had to work together to figure out. And there's still probably some missing puzzle pieces as we continue the journey. But
yeah, and I think one of the things too is we've always been smart with our investments and what we had. So starting out, I bought my first house when I was 21, which is young for a lot of people. My mom and dad were so gracious, and they said, we have a wedding fund set up for you. And I said, that's awesome. Can I use that money to buy a house? So I used the wedding fund money. We ended up eloping. So it worked out great. So I used the wedding fund money.
Every dad's dream.
Yeah.
Is that
yeah.
Every dad's dream.
Exactly. So I used the wedding fund money to buy the first house, and that rolled into Brad and I's first house together, and we did well in that house and rolled into our final house that we ended up selling, and Brad refinished the basement there, and we put a lot of equity into it. So part of it was being wise with money and not spending it on extravagant things too.
Yeah.
And I would also say we would take calculated risk as well,
Yeah.
right? We are not a risk-averse family. You might guess that since we're living on a boat. But there were certainly opportunities along the way that we were we're willing to be a little more uncomfortable about for the potential reward that they might bring to us too. So
yeah, and you guys transitioned into this. You sold your house, but then you moved into an RV.
Mm-hmm.
So you downsized into a land yacht.
I wouldn't call it that, but sure.
Yeah. And then you transitioned to the boat after that.
Yeah.
yeah, we had a goal that we wanted to pay cash for a boat. We didn't want to incur debt. We had worked hard to have very little mortgage left on our last house that we owned, and we want to use that as the opportunity to springboard into full boat ownership, so that we didn't have that hanging over our head with all of the other decisions we have to make on a daily basis. We sold the house, and that was a whole book in itself of experiences of downsizing. And I was 38, 39 when we sold our house and started selling the things that we'd accumulated over the years. I joke we sold the American dream, right? We lived a blessed life. But we sold the house, we sold the beds, we sold the furniture. Like, I mean, basically everything is gone except for some childhood memory stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. You still have cars?
No.
Nope.
No, sold the cars.
That
Yeah.
that was honestly one of the hardest parts for me was when we sold our last car. My car was the last to go, and you don't realize how much as an American you depend on your car for so much. I mean,
Right.
and you're in your car all the time, and it was almost like that was the light bulb moment for me of like, oh my gosh, we're really doing this when we sold our last car.
So what were your biggest surprises as you transitioned to the boat?
Honestly, for me, when we did make the transition from the house to the boat, or sorry, from the house to the RV, the RV was actually on my mom's property, and my parents, they, lovingly let us have the RV there, which was great, but it honestly made it really harder to leave because we spent so much wonderful time with them there. And that was really hard to leave. So I think that emotion was surprising that it was so strong when we left. It was difficult for me. But actually being on the boat,
I think one of the biggest surprises for me would be, I knew that there'd be a sense of responsibility to boat ownership, right, and it being your home, but I vastly underestimated the responsibility I felt in the first probably 4 months. But life's different, right? You are responsible for all the systems on board, your water, your electric, your ability to move, so your engines, your propulsions, and without those, life becomes a little less fun, right? I think it made me realize how much I took for granted the systems and infrastructure that we had living in a house, right? Like, take the car out of it, but like just to flip on a light switch and know that you have power that day and not have to think about it, or have water, and like it was eye-opening to say the least for me.
Are you, when it comes to like boats, I mean, you're literally living in an environment that wants to eat your boat.
Yes.
Super
harsh.
So
Yeah.
how are you getting parts? All these have to be mailed to you, or are there some shops along the way that have generic parts? I mean, if you needed an O-ring, you did an oil change, let's say yourself, and you needed and a little washer disappeared. Where do you get a little washer?
Oh yeah, so a roundabout way to get to that answer is we never planned to be this far south this early in our sailing career. We thought we were going to sail the east coast of the United States, stop in the Bahamas, and turn around. But as we got into the Bahamas, we started having real conversations. Like, we started to believe in our capabilities more. Our communication was improving, and we didn't want to immediately turn around. So that allowed us to dream more and come further south. Having said that, we own a French-made boat, and there's quite a few French islands in the Caribbean that actually have pretty well stocked like boat part stores, chandleries. We've been able to find the parts we need. We've also been blessed with family, right?
Oh, yeah. We joke that they are like our pack mules because they will bring so much stuff in.
Oh, when they come visit.
And we're like, so we have a washing machine, which we do, which I'm incredibly grateful for. So don't bring any clothes except for like one pair, and we have a ton of stuff we want to go in your suitcase. So
Amazon's going to start delivering to your house. And we'll get you all of the necessary documents to import those items to the country that we're at.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So it's a mix, right? We provisioned before we left, thinking we were only going to the Bahamas, and then we've added through the islands, and then we've had family bring things in. But it's not as easy as jumping in your car and going to the auto parts store around the corner or the hardware store to get a light bulb. It way more intentional.
Yes.
So I guess, let's go back. I mean, I've heard some of these stories already. but I think our listeners might like this one. So tell me about your fishing expedition, because you and I would play golf together, right?
Yeah.
And really do that on your boat, I don't guess. So you
Oh,
took up spearfishing, is that right?
Yeah. I'm a competitive person, sometimes too competitive, and I still needed an outlet. Golf is tough to do from a boat. The clubs are with me, but they don't get used all that often. So
Right.
I found the new outlet of free diving and spearfishing, and we were holed up in the southern part of the Bahamas, waiting to cross to
Dominican
the
Republic.
Dominican Republic, waiting on a weather window because that's a 35-hour passage. That can be
Oh,
some
wow.
really gnarly seas because you're completely open to the east trade winds. And while we're there waiting out the weather, I'm spearfishing, having a pretty good go at it. Got some fish in the boat, whether it's snapper or grouper or something like that. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go back in the water, see if I can get something else. And as I get in, I kind of out of the corner of my eye see something larger than normal that I wouldn't typically see. And I look, and it's a shark. And it's not a nurse shark, it's a great white shark. And I'm like,
Nice.
okay. And it's certainly immediately heart rate goes up, right?
Yeah.
You think Jaws.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, blood in the water.
Right.
But I'm not terribly close. But sharks are predators. They're smart. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna swim sideways just shortly to see if it even sees me. And as I swim sideways, I see the shark just kind of follow me. And I'm like, okay, that's enough. And here's where, like, I wouldn't say panic, but like the blood pressure was rising quickly, and I swam backwards to our dinghy.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I had a spear pole if I needed it. Nothing.
Is he following you at this point? I don't think that spear pole would have helped you a whole lot.
I don't know that he was coming closer, but you could tell he was watching, right? Whether he was waiting to see if I was coming towards him or not. Like it felt like an hour, but it was probably a matter of 60 seconds that this all transpired. As I'm like panicking to get back into our dinghy. But yeah, it's like the unexpected happens almost daily in this life, right? You talk about the environments, and
that would have booked my one-way ticket home after.
Are you curious why annuities keep coming up as a potential investment option? People are often told that annuities can effectively mitigate investment risks and help secure their financial future. However, annuities often benefit the salesperson and might not be the best choice for you as a consumer. To learn more about the various types of annuities, the negatives of owning them, and better investment alternatives, we have a free ebook on our website just for you. To download our ebook, Buyer Beware, Why Do They Keep Trying to Sell You That Annuity? Simply click the link in the episode notes or visit wiserinvestor.com/guides. Now let's get back to the episode.
And then in this whole thing where you were which hurricane were you guys trying to avoid? Which not the one.
Yeah.
Meryl.
Beryl. So we were up in Martinique, which is like 3 or 4 islands to the north. We were there with our really good buddy boats, and we literally log in to NOAA, the National Hurricane, every day to see if something's coming. We see that something's coming. We had a discussion with them. We're like, we'll check it in the morning to see if it's getting worse. It got worse. It started building up more and more. So we decided we're going to make the jump all the way to Grenada. So Grenada is supposed to be the safe zone for insurance purposes out of the hurricane line. And so we basically ran straight here. I think that was another 36 hours straight, overnights. And then we get here, and then Beryl turns. And Beryl's basically coming straight towards Grenada. So we did like the tracking, and we were 30 miles from the center of the hurricane. It
That's
was
crazy.
wild.
Yeah.
To say that we were lucky is like that doesn't do it
No.
justice. Like
Your boat wasn't damaged, but others did have.
it wasn't.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's always the science behind what's the safest side of a hurricane to be on, and we were lucky enough to be on the southwest side, which is the shortest bands of weather. You're not getting the highest winds, and our boat was in the water at the marina. Fortunately, made it through unscathed. But again, we had people we sailed for months together in the Bahamas that lost everything 31 miles north of us when it
Oh wow.
grew.
Yeah.
No, you just happened to know them. But they weren't in your group because your whole group was together, right?
Well,
Yeah. No,
Buddy boat.
they were in our group. Yeah, they were in our group, and they hauled out in Carriacou, which got hit the hardest.
Okay.
And they
How they end up 30 miles north of you if with you guys didn't choose to go to the same places?
they
Oh,
were,
that was a different buddy boat. There's tons of us.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah, there's tons of us.
this family had decided well in advance
Yeah.
of Beryl even informed me that they were hauling their boat out for a few months and they were going back to the States. So
Yeah.
literally
Okay.
the Friday before Beryl, they hauled their boat, strapped it to the ground, and then here comes Beryl. And it's like at that point, there's nothing you can do. It's you hope for the best. And
Yeah. So they probably got hurt worse because they were out of water. If I had to guess.
that was ultimately what damaged their boat. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good grief.
But yeah, it was unfortunate, but
You have obviously that's what insurance is for, right? So if you were in that situation, you'd have normal people would have insurance to cover something like that.
hypothetically.
Correct, absolutely. And there's with this life, the insurance have lots of clauses, stipulations, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And deductibles change based off of the severity of the storm and all sorts of things.
Is it a named storm, not a named storm? I mean, as you know, the fine print means a lot.
Oh, absolutely, it does. Yeah.
Yeah. So your deductible could
I've always said that the property casualty agent's job is to sell it to you, and the company's job is never to pay you.
That's what it feels like sometimes.
The fine print's very important. Yes.
Yeah, very important. Very important.
Good grief. Well, so you move out of the trailer RV, you say goodbye, you move into the Catamaran. You guys were in Hilton Head for a little while, right? Is that where you started?
Correct.
And what was the feeling like then? You made it, or oh my gosh, what have I done?
Both. Simultaneously. No. Go ahead.
It felt great because it was something
Yeah.
we had worked years towards, right? And it's hard to goal set for something that's going to take so long to achieve because you can get discouraged so easily along the way and give up. And I think that's how a lot of people, unfortunately, don't achieve their dreams. And for us, that was a big moment for me, was when we put the boat back in the water and we were moving aboard as a family. And it took like 2 months in Hilton Head for us to move everything aboard. But that was like, oh my gosh, this is real. And that opened up a whole nother door of emotions that I talked about a little bit earlier, of then feeling the responsibility of the safety of your family and the security of your home and your boat and all of the things that go with it.
Yeah, that's cool. I just know that for me, so much of my life is wrapped around even my own kids and helping them understand why it's important to set goals. I'd say I'm not really good at celebrating the goals. Not all the kids are. I'm good at celebrating them, but for my own goals, even business goals, we have very lofty goals here as a firm. We're going to probably hit every one of those this year plus more. And in my head, I'm already gone to, well, this is the goal for next year, right?
Yeah.
So it's important to stop and celebrate and say we did it. I'm sure you guys had your moment of calmness and the surreal of the moment kicking in. But if you were talking to your younger selves and you were, maybe it's other people, maybe it's the RV the RV vision. I'm going to drive this RV to go to all national parks, or maybe it's exactly what you guys are doing, or maybe it's something else. What do you think? What advice would you give people who are just starting out on their journey to do something maybe similar, not exactly like what you guys are doing? What would you tell them?
I would say first put it down on paper. Put your idea down on paper, write out exactly what you want, and take it out of your head is the first thing, because so many people don't do that. And then talk like it is serious, and think about the action steps that you have to take in order to achieve your goal. And you can't be afraid to try. And so many people, unfortunately, were like, you are insane for doing this. And like, why are you doing it now? Like, why don't you wait until your quote unquote retirement age? Wouldn't it be easier if? And the wouldn't it be easier if is one of those things that's where a lot of people get stuck. And we didn't choose this lifestyle because it's easy. I mean, it's not easy. It's not. But what Brad was saying is before, like, the highs are incredibly high. I mean, we're talking like seeing, where chocolate is made, literally from the rainforest, taking it down and the process through it. Like, we're talking about like going through these waterfalls. Like, we are talking about like having these French crepes on this island. Like, it's just like so many experiences back to, like, the highs have been so high, not only for us, but for our son. Mm-hmm. But the lows have also been really low. Really low. And, hard on our relationships, hard on us financially, hard on, our relationships with other people. But everything worth doing, we think, is going to be hard. If it's worth doing, it takes hurdles. You have to go over hurdles in order to really enjoy it.
If I can add to that, I would say we've always had a kind of like a motto in our family, like we want to have experiences and not things, because we think the experiences will last you a lifetime, where, you buy this toy or a car, or whatever it is, and it's with you for a brief period. And we really wanted our son to understand that, right? And live from the world around him. So that's kind of what we continue to march forward with. But then back to the dreams and goal setting that you were talking about, is there's always going to be a reason not to do something, especially pursue a dream. And that's what I believe the world wants you to think about, is why you shouldn't, as like Kate was kind of talking about. So take a leap of faith, believe in yourself. It's okay to fail. We certainly have along the way. Again, first-time sailors, first-time boat owners, would we do things different? Some, yeah. But would we still be here? Absolutely. Yeah. And it's kind of the mistakes that have probably created the better memories, honestly, for us, I think, than maybe lucking into getting it right.
Yeah. I think that's so true of almost everyone I've asked that question to. Is it's the hard work and the sacrifice, and to an outsider, you guys are living on a boat in the Caribbean. I mean, geez, that I want to do that, but they're not willing to put in the work to get there. Separates the dreamers from reality, I guess, for so many people. But I think well, I mean, you guys are young, so what we live in both the rest of our lives. I mean, you're kind of doing it how I did in aviation. I knew that I wanted to be in aviation. I love aviation. Okay. But if I didn't do it when I was younger, I was not going to be a 65-year-old person going into aviation, right? That doesn't. They're quitting. But so for me, I had this passion for aviation. I wanted to say I did commercial aviation, but I also felt like that entrepreneurship and business was my home as well. For you guys, you're doing this now. What happens? Where are you going to be 10, 15 years from now?
Oh, gosh.
Great question.
Yeah.
This life requires a lot of planning, but there's a saying that the best laid plans are only written in the sand at high tide. because eventually they're going to change.
Right.
We have agreed to one another that we're going to do this journey as long as it's fun, with at least a 1-year commitment, and we're quickly approaching that 1-year commitment here in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And we're not seeing any signs of stopping anytime soon. But like you said, like we're not going to like live on this boat forever. We'll eventually be back to land life, but I think for me at least, the way we lived before and then the way we live now is certainly going to shape the way I live in the future on land, and the way that I treat the things that were once so easy to have.
I'm thinking hot water and shower pressure.
I mean, or just like, hey, we would like to cook this as a meal, and you could quickly jump in the car and go to the corner grocery store and pick up something, where that's not the case here, right? Like
you got to fight the great whites for their fish.
You got to make do with what you have, right? Like
you do. Like, it's so funny. Literally the other day we were joking about, like, do you remember the potato skins at TGI Fridays? Like, I was just like craving the potato skins. Do you know how much effort it is to make potato skins?
I'm sure.
Because we make them. And
Right.
it just everything takes a lot more. It just does.
Yeah, so we'll eventually be back to land, but I'll tell you, it's been so rewarding for both of us because we both help educate our son. 6 years old, first grade, to see him grow, not just through the school curriculum, but the life that he's learning on a boat and the relationships that come and go, right? Because it's not a permanent sedentary life. And to see how much that's influenced him as a young man is inspiring to us to want to continue to give that to him, because there's so much more for him to learn from the world around him.
Yeah, I remember my oldest was really struggling with school. His attention span just wasn't there. And we had Sarah Newsom is her name. She passed away, I think in 21, maybe, may have been 2019 actually. But anyway, in that range. But she was a well-known teacher here in Marietta. A lot of people were educated by her. And I remember going to see her one day and about her finances, but also I would ask her just questions about, hey, how come my 6-year-old is struggling with school? And she's like, she looked at me, she says, they're educating them all wrong. They need to be on a farm. And they just need to go play. And when they play, you use opportunities to educate them about things. And they won't even know they're getting educated. That's exactly what's happening to your son.
Yeah.
He's learning the basics, obviously, but just being out there in life, he's going to have so much more knowledge. And, back when I was still flying the Delta system, we could non-rev anywhere. So that little kid had been so many places, and he would get his handheld coming out to the car because they would have talked about the Mona Lisa or something. And he'd be like, I saw the Mona Lisa last weekend. just stuff like that. And the teacher would be like, did he really see the Mona Lisa? And my wife's like, yes. My husband has we have Delta flight privileges, and we went to France and he saw it. So, awesome. just little things like that. So that's what your son's getting to experience. That's really cool.
Yeah. And I think for me, one of the things that I love about the lifestyle for our son and also for us is just like the cultures that we get to experience, the people that we get to meet, and it's also varied. It's just, that's such a fun experience for us.
Yeah, that's very true. And I'm guessing that you're probably eating a lot healthier because you'd have to be, right? No?
Yeah. So it's funny. So we love to cook. I've always loved to cook. It's a passion of mine. So every week I make 2 loaves of sourdough bread and focaccia. Our son's favorite food is focaccia bread. But we do that, but we cook 95% of our meals on the boat. Because sometimes there's not anything for us to go out and eat. So it's just the reality of the lifestyle that we have. But when we do go to an island that has something that we want to experience, the food there, I mean, we go all out. So
yeah, well, I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
I'm sure you do. I'm just, in my own health journey in the last 3 months, I've realized that the FDA is not doing us any favors here. And you start looking at like Italy and all the fresh food that they have there, and you start realizing that's why those people are healthier, because they don't have big corporations trying to sell you crap for a
Oh no.
profit. And everything's just natural food. So yeah, totally different lifestyle.
It is, right? I mean, you see, we've learned you eat what the locals eat.
Yep.
Because that's going to be what's fresh, right?
Yep.
Wherever
Yeah.
you're at, you're eating what the locals eat. And you see that they don't grocery shop for a full shopping cart of stuff. They're just getting what they need for the next couple of days.
Yes.
Most of the stuff that they're buying doesn't have preservatives in it, right? Which is going
Right.
back to the health part that you're talking about. And, I mean, as silly as it may sound, like soda with real sugar versus the artificial sugar. I mean,
And they
Big
have a
difference.
real
the soda's great for you or sugar's great for you, but like
Right.
you can make it better.
Right. Very true.
Yeah,
Very true.
but we do miss our Chick-fil-A.
Oh gosh. Miss it.
There's no, they don't have the Lord's chicken, and
They do not.
New Orleans?
only in Puerto Rico. They have it in Puerto Rico.
Oh,
Yes.
oh, that would make sense.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's true. I mean, if you're in Puerto Rico, I mean, you can go to a Walmart there. That's
And
almost
a
like you're
Sam's
at home.
Club and a
Yeah, they have everything we have here. You can get the bad sugar there too, I'm sure.
Correct. Yes.
Someone told me that the purple sugar at the when you go to a restaurant, well, when you used to go to restaurants, the purple bags is the equal. It's supposed to cause cancer or something. Then the other color bag causes dementia. So I came up with this thing a long time ago. So I'll take half of each, and I won't know I have cancer. So
oh no.
sometimes the developed world is not such a bad thing, right? You just
Yeah. That's funny.
All right. Well, cool. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah.
And I guess you guys have any parting words of advice for listeners who are dreaming?
Yeah, I think it goes back to some of the things we both have said already, right? Like, make those dreams tangible. Like, write them down. Look at them more than just thinking about them. Surround yourself with people that believe in you. And that may not always be easy to do, but it's important to have a support structure. Take some risk. I think whatever the dream is, the risks are probably involved. And don't be afraid to fail.
Um,
We certainly have, but it's made us better. So,
Yeah. I think my biggest thing is, one thing that we've discovered is the community of sailors is the best, in my opinion, group of community out there. And it is really a community. Like, everybody is there to help each other out. And we really enjoy the camaraderie of all the other families that are out there. And I think if I had one word of advice as we sign off, it is, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. You'll go to the grave with more regrets on the things you didn't do than the things you did do. So why not?
Yeah. I was looking for it in my phone. I don't see it right this second, but if first of all, my own experience is, if they call you crazy and that's nuts, it usually means I'm onto something.
Yes,
amen
it's
to that.
true.
Yeah.
Right. That's my own experience. And then the second part is, there's I think it's a pastor. I call him less of a pastor and more of a motivational speaker, because he doesn't really talk about God that much. But but he has this great little clip out there on the internet that is like, if you want to be mediocre, if you want to be mediocre, just do what everyone else is doing, right?
Yep.
And if you want to do great things, there's some shock value there to other people and their mediocre lives. And compared to you guys, I have a mediocre life, but
No.
it's yeah. So it's cool to see people set dreams and go do it. We have so many people. Occasionally, someone asks me, "Why do you do?" There's we didn't talk much about finances today. Why we do these podcasts is about retirement. It's simply because we have clients that are sitting at home that watch CNN that think that that's reality. And that's not reality.
No.
It's not reality. You know, it's like I had someone tell me literally last week, well, we want to be traveling more, but the COVID is just so bad right now. We just can't get out. And I'm like, well, the world's out.
We're out.
It's out. It's out there. It's not 2020 anymore. Some families I've sent, I went on eBay and I found someone's collection of postcards, and I've mailed them those postcards with a sticky note on top. It said, pick one.
Yeah.
Place to go and go do something.
Do it.
It's like, it's not, you know, when you're 60, 70, certainly by 80 years old, and you don't know what your body is going to feel like at that age. So you need to be able to do stuff now,
Yep.
right? If you want to climb Mount Everest, you're probably not going to do that 65 plus years old, right? If you're going to walk the Appalachian Trail, probably not going to do it in your 70s. I do have one guy who's doing it in sections, and he's older.
Wow.
But it's you know, you get one life to live and go do it. But you're going to look different. You're not going to have a $2,000 a month car note. You're not going to have maybe necessarily a 5,000+ square foot house. You're not going to have all these different things because your money is going to be going in other directions. So people might be surprised. My own house is pretty small compared to what other friends of equal income have, but they also don't have 3 horses and all these other things that my kids are involved in, because I'm invested in making sure that they know how to set goals and work to achieve those goals. And you guys are doing the exact same thing. So it just looks different to the world, you know?
Yeah.
It certainly does. And, you know, I often joke with friends that I believe the American dream is a concept created by corporate America to get employees to be loyal and to stay around for a long time and to almost forget about the dream. I saw a quote somewhere that, like, the salary that you're paid by your corporation is really just to get you to forget about the dream of today. And I think there's some truth to that. And like, I'm not wanting to like make it sound like I'm speaking down to people that worked in corporate America, because I was there for a long time, 15 years. But I think it's important to get outside of what everybody thinks is normal. And you even talked about that briefly. It's like, if someone says you're crazy, you're probably onto something.
Well, I know that's true in personal finance, because every company basically does the exact same thing. Somehow we're very different here. We call ourselves 4%ers. Only 4% of our industry does business this way. And yeah, you're on an island, but sometimes your own island is better than the mainland that everybody else is on. So.
Exactly. We're literally on an island now.
Yeah, you are. Yeah. So anyway, that's cool. Well, I guess we got to end the episode here. We're reaching our time limit, and I just want to thank you again for doing this. So you guys are we're in the same time zone somehow.
Yeah.
And you have clear water there? Is there clear water?
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Yep.
Clear water in the same time zone as Atlanta that has dirty water. Amazing. A little further south, I guess. So what's the temperature there today? 95?
95.
Ask us tomorrow. It's 95. The day before was 95. 95.
Oh, is it like Hawaii? Is it like always 80 there? So it's like always 95 there?
There's only 2 seasons here. It is dry season and rainy season. We are currently in rainy season.
Oh, okay.
It is the same.
It's the same. Interesting. All right. Well, thanks for listening, everyone. If you'd like to learn more about Wiser Wealth Management and financial planning, so you too could live on a catamaran in the Caribbean, you can do so by going online and following the links to our website. We also have episode 203, How to Create a Realistic Travel Budget, with Amy Rambo. Amy is our travel agent extraordinaire. She can get you anywhere in the world economically or the most expensive way possible with the most luxury. He has equal knacks at both. We also had episode 184. That's been a while ago now. but it's what it's like traveling in full time in retirement with the Retirement Travelers. They have a YouTube channel too. You can follow them. Retirement Travelers sold everything, and they got down to 2 backpacks. And they've been to like 200 something countries. And I remember asking them what their favorite countries were, and I don't know where those countries are. Like, oh, there's waterfall in this country, and I'm like, yeah, I don't think I can spell it. It was amazing. I can't even spell 5 of those countries you just named off. Nor I know, like, if I went to Delta, I'd be like, I got to go here, but I don't know where this is exactly. You know? So that's a really cool episode. And then we have a YouTube channel, which I would encourage you to watch this episode on. We have pictures from you guys that you sent of your travels so far. So we'll be posting those up on the podcast, probably when our feed went in and out on the video. That'd be a great time to post a picture.
Perfect.
On top of that. So, all right. Well, smooth sailing. And when you guys, make it back up north, maybe we can play a round of golf there, Bradley.
Looking forward to it.
Or maybe I just need to come to you. I mean, at some point, some clients do demand that we travel. So you guys haven't figured this one out yet.
We're going to demand you come.
I am totally going to not bring one pair of clothing, though. So I will have all the clothing I need for my trip. Thank you very much.
Okay. We'll just bring a second suitcase. We'll fill it.
Can you not just have the stuff mailed to your dock? Does it work that way?
Not so simple.
No.
Not so simple.
No. Just wait till Elon gets like the satellites that are dropping things.
The drone delivery, right?
Yeah.
Delivery in some island somewhere. That'd be changing.
Yeah,
that'd be real change. Yeah, think about Amazon, man, on that. Jeez.
Yes.
All right, guys. Safe travels. We'll see you.
Thanks, Casey.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to a Wiser Retirement podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Make sure to subscribe wherever you're listening. That way you don't miss any new episodes. We'd also appreciate if you could leave a rating and review. If you have any questions about anything that was discussed today, head to wiserinvestor.com and reach out. This episode was produced by Rachel Dotson. This podcast is strictly for informational purposes only and is not to be considered as investment advice or solicitation to buy or sell any financial products, securities, digital assets, or any other investment vehicles, or a basis to make any financial decisions. Wiser Wealth Management Incorporated is a registered investor advisor with the SEC. The host and/or guests may personally own securities, digital assets, or other investment vehicles mentioned on this podcast. Neither the host nor guests of the show are compensated for their participation, and no referral fees are paid to or received by any host or guest for clients, listeners, or similar interests. Investments involve risk, and unless otherwise stated, are not guaranteed. Be sure to first consult with a qualified financial advisor, tax professional, insurance professional, and/or legal professional before implementing any strategy discussed herein. Past performance is not indicative of future performance.